India is coming up with something called as, or already has come up in year 2023, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023. That's the first act of towards data privacy in India. So every Indian women the rage was that wear a red sari and post a picture. Do we have to actually have a red sari? If it goes in US, it's understandable that they want to look in sari.
Correct.
All of us were very happy in posting that picture created by AI and put it across into it. And all it did was keep on taking your data and work towards it.
Right. These organizations would need to comply with specific data purging, archival, and all of those criteria. How would that be? The data which is already lost into the training models of AI, what would happen to that? I mean, which is already there. How would that law prevail in that?
But I think we need to have privacy.
Correct.
And all these contours of privacy where it comes to, to understand as an individual also that what are your rights. 90% of the digital arrests are happening because of this, that you don't want to share.
Right.
Despite you have not done anything wrong, you don't want to share because there can be an element, there can be something wrong.
Right.
Or I'm stuck in something wrong.
Exactly.
Or I am stuck in something wrong which is done by somebody else. You're still ready to be
Correct.
to be in front of your screen.
Correct.
For 12 hours to 12 days to 25 days to 40 days. You're ready to transfer your hard-earned money.
Welcome to Unscripted with Archie Jackson. I'm honored to introduce a remarkable guest whose presence today elevates this conversation to a whole new level. She is a distinguished advocate at the forefront of India's legal, cybersecurity, and data privacy landscape. She is a practicing advocate in the Supreme Court of India and the founding partner of the law firm ARK Legal, where she leads high-stakes litigation and advisory in corporate law, cyber law, technology law, and financial crime. Please welcome Khushbu Jain.
Welcome, Khushbu. Thanks for taking time out and being part of this discussion. Really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me start off with the initial first icebreaker question. So, what made you get into privacy? You have a complete background into law and regulations and compliances. What directed you towards privacy?
I think it didn't direct me. It's the world that was directing towards privacy. It wasn't just me. And I went with the direction of the world at that time. So it was in 2016-17 that all of us were talking about that we need to have something called as privacy in a digital space.
Mm-hmm.
And that talk was going on, and the Supreme Court had one of the case, which was K. Puttaswamy versus Union of India, which said that right to privacy should be a fundamental right of each and every citizen. Why? Because you cannot have a dignified life if you don't have a privacy in as a right towards given to each and every citizen. And with that judgment of 2017, right to privacy became fundamental right of each and every citizen. But to understand and to have that is where it actually attracted a lot to understand that what do you mean by privacy, what is privacy, and how it is important. And with that came the aspect that cyber crime also started coming on a rise.
Right.
And my journey to privacy was more towards coming from the aspect of the privacy, more towards right to be forgotten on the internet space, which created that I need to have a private space,
Correct.
and you cannot have right to privacy if you don't have right to be forgotten as a part of it. And the other side, that all your information is practically a fodder given to a criminal to orchestrate a crime against you. So if you pick up any kind of crime, right from business email compromises to any crime that you think of a cyber crime, it can be done very easily, very convincingly if the criminal has an information about you. That creates another aspect that there should be privacy. Your data should be secure. Your information should be secure, should be with you. It should not go in the hands of a people who can misuse it, and at last with that misuse try to cheat you either in a manner of taking away your money or maligning your image or something else for that matter. So I think that was the whole space, and I think it's not me. The whole world has shifted towards the privacy aspect and taking privacy very seriously.
Absolutely, you're spot on, and thanks for sharing this journey. In fact, at this point in time, I see the India, we see data privacy being so much. I mean, it's gathering so much of importance globally. Across India as well, I see there is a lot of negligence. You find at the malls, people getting all your credentials and details for a lucky draw. You get emails. I mean, even over Gmail or even over the corporate, you get a lot of spear phishing and spams and all. So, where do you see? I mean, what should be done so that we could be at par? I mean, I see Australia and other countries are very active in this direction. They have so many different bodies governing it, and where should India? I mean, how should India take the leap?
Okay, so let's understand the basics of it. We as a society was never uncomfortable or never wary of sharing information. We always loved sharing information with people we meet. Why? Because we never thought as a society, or we never did, that if somebody shares information, we are going to misuse that information. Hence, our fabric of the society is such that we love sharing. When we meet somebody, we talk about everything just to have that connect, right from, some
Right.
society to the town to which area to somebody else's to some connection, and we connect with each other. That's how we have always been. Today also, if I'm saying that there is no harm, we shouldn't be scared in the world of internet that, oh, I need not share my information. Sharing of information is practically very important in the age of IoT devices and in the age of digital India that we're talking about, because none of these digital devices or none of these platforms or none of the technology that you're using can work without data. They will be taking your data. But the problem that comes is, what about the security?
Right.
What about sharing that data with people that you have not consented for? What about that data going in the hands of people who should not have that data? That's where I think is where we need to pause and look upon and start working towards. And that's where India is coming up with something called as, or already has come up in year 2023, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023. That's the first act of towards data privacy in India. Now, what do you mean by Digital Personal Data Protection Act? It says that you as a person whose data has an absolute ownership to the data. Now, you want to share your data with anybody, that person has to have a consent from you. Gone are those days where they just take your consent and, internet or technology places become just like a black box that nothing is visible. We don't know what's happening, how my data is going, how it's flowing, who they're sharing it with. No. Today, if I'm giving my data for whatever purpose, I should be consenting for it. You should tell me for what purpose, and you should tell me which all parties you're sharing my data with for what purpose. So tomorrow when I try to buy a car, if by the time I reach home, I should not get 20 calls from the loan companies if I have not consented for it.
Right.
But I do want to have loans and I want those information. I can absolutely consent for it, that share my numbers, let me have better offers, and I don't mind that. But that, absolute no transparency in the world of internet where we share the data and data roams around without our permission, and that creates a problem, is where the DPDP Act will come in and play a very pivotal role. How? It says that if you don't take my consent, explicit consent of what data, for what purpose, with which party, for what purpose, you will have up to 50 crore of a penalty that can be imposed on you. Same thing if you look into GDPR, the European law's privacy law, it says it can have up to 2 to 4% of a penalty in these scenarios. 2% of their global turnover, which is almost equivalent to what they want to put it across.
Right.
Now, same is with the consent aspect. There are other obligations in the same law, which says the security, that you're taking my data, keep it secure. Don't try to, put data in a manner that somebody else can steal the data or take the data and utilize it. So that security and consent are two very important aspects which we as citizens were, handicapped, because when you talk about
Correct.
digital India, when you talk about digitization around us, we are bound to use technology, but we don't understand how do we take care of this data flowing, because it is not a tangible asset. It's an
Absolutely.
intangible asset which was flowing. That's where this act will play a very important role, that for per non-compliance of these right to consent, right to have a security in place, it will have up to 50 crore of a penalty. Now, let's say the security, the data gets breached. It has an 250 crore of a penalty that can be imposed on each and every company.
That is an individual or an
That's
organization?
to a company, to a private limited company, to a partnership company, to any entity, a legal entity which is recognized under the law, who is taking your data for any purposes for that matter, who becomes a data fiduciary in the eye of the law.
Okay.
So if you're taking a data tomorrow for anybody, take their consent, let them know what their rights are, let them know if they can recall it. Tomorrow, if I give you my data, I don't want that to be continued. You gave an example of a mall. We love sharing the data, and if any goodies come along with it, any lucky offer, we just love sharing it. But I think that's people also have to take a step back in understanding what data they are sharing for what purpose, and is it required.
Correct.
And let's forget the mall. We are today sitting in the age of social media and AI.
Correct.
And with that, I will tell you any new scheme, new things coming up like Red Sari Challenge,
Yeah.
or how you would look 50 years from now, or how would you look 20 years, before, or things like that. We are so happy about it. Oh, let's all of us, post those pictures.
Correct.
All the companies are doing is taking your data.
And in a form of pictures.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
in a form of picture, in a form of video, those challenges that come up, those rage that come up, it's all created. It's a bait, and we
Right.
fall to it. Same like what we were doing it at the lucky draw on the in the mall.
Correct.
That we would give all our information just for one lucky draw name that would come out, and with that one lucky draw, they will have lakhs and lakhs of people's data information with them, and that's their whole part was. And that's what now companies are doing it on social media, that they're going to create these new age baits coming up, that oh, there is a new challenge coming up, this challenge we should do it. So every Indian women the rage was that wear a red sari and post a picture. Do we have to actually have a red sari? If it goes in US, it's understandable that they want to look in sari.
Correct.
All of us were very happy in posting that picture created by AI and put it across into it. And all it did was keep on taking your data and work towards it.
Right. Even in the organizations, for example, early days, 20 years ago, or even before that, when employment happens, you share your details, your degree, your date of birth, all those documents, those are gone somewhere in the file somewhere. So with DPDP coming in, these organizations would need to comply with specific data purging, archival, and all of those criteria. How would that be?
Oh, that's a lovely question. And I think that's where each and every company will have a challenge when it comes to DPDP implementation. Because what will happen is, as I said, we were very happy in taking the data, and we were very happy in giving the data.
Right.
So companies kept on taking as much data as possible without even understanding that whether this is required or not required. And we kept taking that data. Now, what DPDP Act, if you read, it says that you need to take permission of the back data also that is lying with you.
Okay.
Take a consent from them that this is what is there with us, and you consent for it. If you don't have a consent, there are companies who would have taken consent beforehand.
Right.
But now one has to. Now there is also something called as right to access in the same DPDP Act, which says today I can ask any company who has my data that I need to exercise my right to access. That means I need to know what all data of mine is lying with you. And a company is duty bound under the law to provide me the detail of all the data that is lying with them. It is old, new, whatsoever. When they provide for it, then comes the aspect that you have not taken a consent, or I have given a consent, or I want to exercise my right to erasure. Now, each of this, consent, access, erasure, is up to 50 crore of a penalty for not giving me that option, number one, or giving me that option but not complying with it.
Okay.
The aspect of second, where you're saying archive, it has to be either in a manner that it is pseudonymized or anonymized in such a manner that that anonymization doesn't have an aspect of de-anonymization, or it doesn't come, because everything has to do with any data which is personally identifiable to me or any person. Now, if that data, if you use technology in such a manner that the data doesn't have any understanding that it is of Khushbu Jain, then you're absolutely fine. Keep as much data as possible, utilize it for research, for whatever purposes you want to utilize it. But the moment it can in a way link to that this belongs to Khushbu Jain, then is where the DPDP Act comes in play, and that's where you will have to have all those obligations in place, right from consent to access to right to erasure to all others.
So in a scenario, let's say hospital, X person gets admitted to a hospital, the hospital has his medical data and all of those information. Now there is a insurance associated with it. Now the hospital shares that information to a third party, the insurance company, which may have some information which may not be relevant, which may be relevant, but for the insurance provider to assess the insurance reimbursement and the remittance of insurance and all. And then maybe through insurance, there may be other fourth party or fifth party associated with it. So how does this change? So would the first hospital would be liable, or would it be the next, the insurance company? How would that be?
Okay. So one is data fiduciary. That is the first company which has which takes your data. In your scenario, in your example, it's the hospital. Then comes the insurance company or any third party vendor which insurance company engages, and then another third party vendor attached with it, or maybe 10 different third party vendors which insurance company has it to fulfill their criteria. It can be a TPA, it can be others in between. Till the time it reaches the even the insurance company, there is a TPA involved in between. Now, all in this scenario, one data processor. Now, who's data processor? Somebody who processes the data on my behalf.
Okay.
Let's say I engage a third party to do something on my behalf. Maybe for my IT purposes, maybe for, some specific scrutiny purpose or something else, where I am sharing the data and I'm writing in my contract very clearly that you do it. I'm sharing this data only for ABC. You do it. And you don't have any right over that data. You can't do any processing of that data apart from what I'm asking you to do. You cannot do anything beyond. Then I am the one who's liable as a data fiduciary. Data processor is only the one who's processing on behalf of data fiduciary. His liability is less.
Right.
But if something goes wrong, then contractually he has done wrong to the company.
Correct.
Then is where they can have their fight. But for a data principal, that is me, it is the hospital who's liable.
Okay.
But let's say where the other party is not just acting on behalf, but it has to act in its process. Like, for example, an insurance company has to have other things to act upon, and it might utilize it, and it might has to share it with IIB and others,
Right.
For its own purpose. Then it becomes a co-data fiduciary. Now, when you say co-data fiduciary or a joint data fiduciary, that means both the parties have a liability in place. Because now my data is with them and also with another entity who's utilizing and purpose and, everything is defined. But in this scenario, what hospital can do it can clearly put across, and a new company who's taking the data for its own purpose can also have a consent taken from the data principal.
Right.
Or a first one can have a clear understanding, and then it can float around, and the liability becomes a joint liability. But in all these scenarios, the problem that comes is the transparency that you have to keep and the accountability part that you have to keep of the chain of companies which, where the data is being shared.
Correct.
Because anywhere something goes wrong, the first visible person is the hospital. So, they should have their privacy notice also in such a manner that these are the 20 entities we share our data with for these purposes. Now, if any of the entity is going beyond that, they can have a separate consent. And you can have a contract being very strictly drafted for that specific cause. So I think the whole journey when it comes to this data flow has to be very, you have to take a step back, understand, and maybe start fresh with how you're sharing the data. If it's not required, do not share the data with the entities. Limit the exposure of the data in your entities as well. The departments which has to have an exposure to the data. Right. So I think that minimization, need to know basis, limited exposure of the data, limited third-party vendors who can have access to data is something which one has to have, each one its own. The company have to have their policies in place. Without that, it would be difficult for you to run tomorrow. Because let's say a penalty comes of 100 crores.
Right.
You try to transfer the penalty to a third-party vendor of yours. The third-party vendor asks, even after getting, insolvent, or for that matter, has maybe 3 crores or 5 crores of an assets.
Correct.
You will have to pay that balance amount. So you will have to understand and have cyber insurance also in that manner that, you cover up your places in such a manner. And a company, I'm not saying that you should not have small scale and MSMEs to work with,
Correct.
but I'm saying that exposure can be limited, and you understand that exposure part, and you make them clearly understand the liability aspect of the data rights and rights associated with the data and the obligations when it comes to security.
Correct.
All these things have to be very clearly defined in your contracts. You cannot today run a company without having that in place.
My thoughts are just exploding into various different directions right now. So, for example, people, as a startup, there may be multiple startups which may not be having everything in-house. They may have their payroll being processed by third party, or they may have, everybody have chartered accountants as well who have access to a lot of, again, sensitive data, which is PII. Now, in that case, I think a lot of, you brought in a very important point, which is cyber insurance, which is what will happen after things goes wrong. But to prevent things from going wrong, I think there would be a lot of policy redefinition as well as tool sets and compliances, because I was speaking to a bank a day before yesterday. So now they have a geolocation app that they come up to your doorstep, because earlier it used to be all paper. Then they click your picture with a geolocation app, which is also embedded in the bank's app. All the documents that you scan are all bank's app, because they cannot take those pictures, because back dated, which is few years ago, I used to access any of the hotels as well. They used to take pictures of your Aadhaar card and everything. How they are keeping that data, I'm not aware of.
The
How they're
hotels are still
purchasing
taking it.
Yes.
They are still, the banks have got RBI as a very strict regulator, and they have got very, very strict when it comes to cybersecurity, and that, that entire sanitizing the entire
Correct.
environment when it comes to how to take data, how to keep the data, and they've got a lot of technology in place.
Exactly.
Because RBI has been very strict on these aspects. And plus, also we are dealing with the the banking system. It deals with the money, and it has
Right.
to have it. But if you look into any other sector apart from banking, I don't think so there is any sanity. You
Yeah.
still go to any hotel today, and they will be very happy to click a picture, or they'll say, send it on my WhatsApp, the
Correct.
person who's standing there. Now, let's say tomorrow a hotel thinks of that, Khushbu Jain has requested for right to erasure, and I have to erase from everything. But those two front desk employee have it on their
Mobile phones.
mobile phone.
Yeah.
So, the problem that you have actually not done the job, despite keeping the whole team of data privacy in your organization and the security team in your organization who's working towards it, in complying with each and every obligations of DPDP
Correct.
Act. But that one place where it is lying, and that's where the problem comes in. I think that's where we need to understand that entry point of a data, every organization.
Right.
Smaller the organization, practically, the point which you were raising, that there are so many small companies who do not have it, they have to outsource it. Smaller the organization, easier for them to inculcate this.
Right.
Because big organizations, they do not still understand where all places the data is lying, in what format.
Exactly.
It can be an Excel, it can be a PDF, it can be lying in the email, it can be lying in, some of the other
Yes.
format. And it can be exposure that, there is no need to know basis kind of an exposure. Every department might have exposure, or every department might have 20 third-party vendors which they deal with. Because every company, the primary focus is business.
Correct.
It's not security, it's not privacy.
Absolutely.
A company cannot just think of, I'm in the business now today to keep security and privacy. They want to thrive
True.
first. They want to have their business need first. These are all secondary aspect.
Right.
Is where I think the smaller companies should start working in a manner that they can have privacy by design put across right away. The way
Exactly.
we have security by design.
Right.
You can have that entry and exit point of any data in such a manner that your policies, internal policy of your organization is defined, that you don't have to have difficulty tomorrow if something like that comes up. So for a smaller company, it would be much easier, provided they start acting upon it.
Correct.
And they put a focus towards it, that this is how we want. This is how it should be done in an organization. So I think that hygiene, which we say, that one understands how it flows, then it can make a job very easy.
Absolutely. And you brought up very important point here. Now cherry on the cake is the AI, which brings in so much of complexity in how we share the data. Everybody is into the race of ChatGPT, putting in source code, putting in information. And I mean, within my organization, I just had a scan of information which was uploaded onto ChatGPT, which contains, because now we have DSPM tools, data security posture management tools, through which we get that visibility. So there were like thousands of files which were uploaded that had PII information. I mean, easily uploaded onto ChatGPTs, and then ChatGPT is helping them with some of the other things. And now, again, in such scenario, when these acts are implemented and the governance is there, the data which is already lost into the training models of AI, what would happen to that? I mean, which is already there. How would that law prevail in that?
Okay, you have asked a very difficult question for that matter. The first part that, everybody is sharing everything over there, even in organizations who's spending so much of money in security, who's spending so much of money in now bringing privacy in an organization where their employees keep on uploading such things.
Correct.
It's negating the whole, aspect of having so much of, focus towards security when people are doing this. I think the first and foremost that comes is the awareness and the training to each and every employee of yours, from front end, the top bottom,
Right.
the bottom one to the front end to the top guys.
Right.
And that has to be a different kind of training. If you're giving an exposure, if you're giving them a work to do, and that work has an exposure to the data, there has to be an element of training with it. It is as good as if you're giving me a gun, you have to tell me what are the repercussions of it and how to put it and how to operate. With that operate, they also tell me that it might
Correct.
trigger and it might have these issues. And you also tell me that if I do it without license and without permission, this is how it would happen. And you cannot do it. Same way you need to have, I'm giving a very, very extreme example,
Right.
but we have to treat it in such a manner that with data also you have to teach each and every employee who is having an exposure to the data
Correct.
that what are the limitations, what are the obligations that they have to keep in mind, and a strict implementations of those
Correct.
scenarios. If they don't do it, it would be an absolute immediate maybe employment, maybe some points, or third point, you give them termination letter. There can be some penalties that can be imposed. It
Right.
depends on how it would be, or maybe you can start working that somebody who doesn't have absolutely no penalty can get more positive way of rewarding it. It can
Correct.
be negative way of rewarding it, but however it works, you have to have that in place, and it cannot be one time. It has to be a continuous affair of efforts or a
Exactly.
continuous affair in your organization, that the training keeps on going on. Apart from this, you need to have that part very clear, that what data, what AI can be utilized today in your organization or cannot. There are a lot of companies who are thinking of creating some AI models by having a third party vendor who create that for them, and they start using it. But see, tomorrow you're not understanding if consent, I'm saying, is a very important aspect. If tomorrow somebody uses my data set and builds that, using that data set,
Right.
builds a tool for you, and you start utilizing that tool, let's say for verification or for something else, or
Correct.
for background verification, tomorrow comes the aspect that I sue you that you have not taken a consent from me to utilize it for this purpose.
Right.
Today you're not in a state to do anything.
Correct.
You have bought an AI in your organization to make job easier, to go a little more faster, to be maybe a little more secure, or maybe less error, but it's going to fall flat on you tomorrow. So that's where you need to understand that, have either a data set, which is, if you're building it your own, have data set where you have permissions. If somebody else is doing it for you, clearly mandate that they have an authority, they have a consent to utilize that data set, and that's what they have done it. So if tomorrow some situation comes up, you are in a position to transfer your liability to that person,
Correct.
and start working towards it. And I think in this rage of AI, if one understands, perfectly fine. If one doesn't and relying on the third party, you need to have paperwork done in such a manner that you secure yourself properly. Plus, apart from that, then you start using a lot of ways to understand the security of those tools,
Right.
the biasness of those tools. There are a lot of questionnaires, there are a lot of inputs that you can put in, and you can keep checking it. You can give as crucial point and understand that if there is any infiltration in the data, if there is an issue in security, if something like that comes up, if there is any bias answer that comes up. Biasness can be any kind of biasness. It doesn't have to be a religious biasness. It doesn't have to be a color biasness. It doesn't have to be a country biasness. It can be any kinds.
Correct.
It can be any specific. It can be gender. It can be anything for that matter. You have to keep doing all those things on a continuous basis to understand if the output is coming. If you're completely wanting to rely on technology, you need to have that human element of checking it.
Makes sense.
And then do it. Because you say tomorrow that the company, the tool has done it. In India, we don't have the tool. That tool can go behind the bars.
Correct.
It is always the person behind the tool who will have to go behind the bars.
Absolutely.
So you can't be free that, oh, I didn't do anything. It was the tool. No. You're responsible for the tool. But to have that understanding, because again, I said, this is more of a black box. If I say internet being a gray,
Correct.
AI would be the black box, because you will not understand how it's happening and who you can blame. So whenever you're using AI tools or softwares, who to blame will be a biggest challenge tomorrow.
Right.
And that who to blame ke liye, you need to have that transparency, that who has worked on what. Aap
Absolutely.
open source se, are you bringing something and then utilizing and building on top of it? That also you will have to have clarity. But if you try to cover up and don't have that, reach, then tomorrow you will be the one who will be blamed.
Absolutely. Makes sense. And what I could understand from this insight is, we have been catching up in the security awareness programs across the organization, across colleges, universities. Now there is a parallel privacy awareness programs that should also blend into all of this. And I think with a vision, they should also be, this should also be somewhere a subject between colleges and universities, so that when they are getting into a specific stream, be it hotel management, finance, they have that imbibed in them, so that they have the direction of privacy and what to do and what not to do when they get into those journeys.
Absolutely. Like you have something called as ethics when we study law.
Right.
We have got ethics. Medicals, when they study medicine, they have got ethics as a paper.
Right.
Our legal ethics is a very important paper. But I think we need to have privacy.
Correct.
And all these contours of privacy where it comes to, to understand as an individual also that what are your rights. You as an individual,
Correct.
What are your rights? You have right to access, or you have right to this, or you have right to erasure, plus you have a right to nominate, plus at the same time, how do you exercise these rights?
Correct.
And then if something goes wrong, how do you exercise it, and what are the things that you're going to have it? When you are taught these things in your childhood, at the right age, and then in your college again, then you will understand that I practically can ask a company for my data.
Correct.
So when I open a company tomorrow, I will have to have that vision will be as it is there in your subconscious mind.
Absolutely.
That this is how I have to.
Correct.
So if you want to change the entire mindset of the people, how they think, how they operate when it comes to data, that will change. You have hit the right nail, that it will start only when the school and colleges met. People are taught this very clearly. So they understand what do you mean by privacy. They understand what do you mean by security. They understand that these are the rights of the people and how important they play. They play a role in today's situation or a scenario or the world.
Absolutely, because even when I meet employees of top banks, these are the account managers coming up for account creation, and even wealth managers, they are just haywire. They are just haywire, asking for any information and every information. You send me your Aadhaar, you send me this, you send me this. All of that they are collecting like anything, and you have no visibility of what the bank is doing. And then I'll just give an anecdotal conversation that I had with one of the bank account executive. I told him, he was collecting some information and he was clicking pictures with his mobile phone. And I asked him, so I told him that in future, your bank will have an app through which you would only be able to upload those documents into the app, not on your mobile. He said, it is there, but for my convenience, I'm clicking it from my phone.
Because however more data he has, he's that valuable to go to another company and say, I am already having that much
Exactly.
of money. And I think you're absolutely right on that left, right, center. If today you and me, Archie, our data is out. Let's say my Aadhaar, my driving license is out there. Both of us sitting next maybe 10 days would not be able to tell which company.
Exactly.
As much our data is flowing and we have shared without thinking.
Correct.
So we would not be able to point out. Even
Exactly.
if this is very crucial data, right?
Yes.
Forget about any other data. If my Aadhaar, my PAN card and my driving license.
Right.
All these three things are out today. I would not be able to pinpoint which company,
Absolutely.
where, how.
Yeah.
But we have already shared the data. As I said, we love sharing, and that's
Correct.
in our DNA that we love sharing. We need to understand. We need to limit that, and I think with that sharing, the DPDP Act is talking about that shared. Fine, security is important. The companies who have it, they need to keep it secure, and they
Correct.
need to stop how to share that data with third-party vendors.
Correct.
So I think that part was very important. Let's wait for the rules to come out. The moment rule comes out, I think the penalties will start coming in, and we will have a real picture of
Right.
how serious the companies are when it comes to DPDP implementation.
Absolutely. I mean, with the heavy penalty, I wonder how the initial change would be implemented, because it that needs to be into the culture then.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
I think we have one of the examples already seen. 2018, 17, 18, we got GDPR.
Right.
GDPR has been imposing the ICOs or the other data protection boards in the European nations are imposing penalty left, right, center.
Correct.
You think of an industry and it is there, right from real estate to
Right.
to Google or Meta
Correct.
to hospitality to hospitals to an asset management company. To think of it, and they are just imposing penalty, and these are not small penalties. They are
Correct.
imposing hefty penalties.
Correct.
So we are seeing that how the countries have become, or the companies in those countries have become very
Right.
serious when it comes to data and when it comes to citizens' data, their citizens' data. I think with the same way we should look across that these are all hefty penalties.
Correct.
You can absolutely go out of business if you don't think of keeping these things in line with
Right.
law. Having a penalty of 50 crores for each non-compliance can actually put you out of business. So I think the companies will have to start taking it seriously, and we have seen that example that the boards have been putting across. So let's put finger across for the rules to come up as early as possible.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of industries would get triggered, I would say, emerge with cyber insurance, education, all of that, because with this the DPDP Act being implemented, cyber insurance will get some hype. There would be education, there would be implementation of various different tool sets which would govern, applications may come up. So a lot of transformation would come up in the coming days from law perspective, or I would say from legal and regulatory perspective. Have you come across any early stage examples? There must be organizations who are ahead in the game, preparing in this particular journey. Are there any examples that you have seen over the past while since 2023?
See, I'll tell you, there are a lot of small companies where I'm advising, and they have been very serious on that. If you're bringing in new softwares or a tool in their organization, or anything for that matter, or even when they're an e-commerce platform, they're keeping these things in mind that this is gonna come tomorrow, and redoing it will be more expensive for us.
Correct.
So they're keeping that privacy and security by design right away.
Right.
The new ones. If you talk about the old ones, yes, there are a lot of companies who are thinking that we are by default going to be a significant data fiduciary. We deal with hefty data.
Correct.
And we are not in one state, but we are like omnipresent in the whole country.
Right.
And that's why they're coming up that let's at least understand where all places my data is lying. So that initial journey of data discovery, mapping the data, understanding that, okay, each and every organization, they are trying to gather it, that who's dealing with what kind of processes, and, filling up those data gathering sheets.
Correct.
Either digitally or in an Excel form, either via tool or in an Excel form, but to have that preliminary understanding that once, let's say, a data enters, which are the 10 data entry points in an organization, which all entities, different departments utilize
Right.
it, for what purposes, let those departments put it across, they share it with which all third party. So in this process, I have seen so many companies started working on it, and this big large size companies are doing it. It takes almost a year of a journey. It's not a small journey to understand the entire
Correct.
map of your data in your organization and what purpose they're doing it, and they're understanding that, okay, we have got maybe 300 plus vendors, then we get the list. So when you get those lists, you start working towards that, okay, maybe 100 plus contracts may be getting renewed in next 2 months.
Right.
So let's renew the contract along with the data privacy clauses.
Correct. Correct.
So gradually, instead of making a shift altogether tomorrow when the rules come out, you gradually shift towards that idea. With your third party vendors, because negotiations have to have in that manner with your any of your vendors for that matter, or any of the third party that you're dealing with. Your business must be that you are the vendor to the main company, where you don't have much say when it comes to negotiations in the contract clauses. So you start working right now to make them understand and have your systems in place. A lot of companies are still thinking, okay, let's have some tools which are being either bought from outside or we created our own, so that we have that consent management internally.
Right.
So the organizations are getting ready, they are working towards it, and they have started working towards it. I would not say it's the number that ideally you and me would think of, that it's a good number. No, it's not a good number. But I think the companies are still waiting for the rules to come out to understand that how much time they will be given to work on it. But my one serious advice, wait for the rules, but do not wait to understand that how the data is flowing and how you can minimize, and that exposure can be less, because your security is something which is done by each and every company.
Correct.
Security cannot be done without privacy.
Absolutely.
I'm again repeating.
Absolutely.
Without privacy, security is not absolute complete. You might reach 90% of the secured space, but that 10% still vacuum if you don't have a privacy design in your organization. The moment you do that, your 60% of the security will be taken care if you understand that limitation of data exposure, that taking as much data which is required, don't take so much of data. So your security becomes less.
Absolutely.
So it's literally in sync or in together, and we should not take it separately. We should take privacy and security as one aspect, and both will complement each other.
You brought in a massive great point here, because I see tool sets. I see the data security posture management evolving like anything in the global industry. Earlier, even up till last year, even post GDPR, I haven't seen this tool evolving, but there are products where they give you a complete discovery of your data, where your data's PII is there, if it is in the server, if it is in your cloud, all of those. So this, I think, just like antivirus or the malware protection, this would again be a mandatory solution for every organization.
It won't be mandatory, but it will become mandatory for yourself. It will be absolutely essential for you to do it. So, you cannot work without it.
Exactly.
It would be coming. Absolutely. I'm in sync with you on that.
Yeah. And from let's shift gears, from your various different engagement with various different organizations and your clients, share some anecdotal experiences which would be interesting for the audience around privacy, around cybersecurity. I know we have talked about those offline, but the viewers would also be interested to know.
Okay, first, I'm duty bound to not share information which client shares with us. So that would be impossible, but I can share some, not client specific, but I can share some incidents with you in general. So business email compromises have been very strict, right?
Correct.
This would be more of a learning for people as well. Till today, it tops the chart of the cyber crimes in the world. Business email compromises still tops the chart.
Right.
Bring all other kind of cyber crimes and cyber business email compromise, it would be top, and it's a good number of cases that come, or volume of cases that come. How business email compromise has transformed, you have to understand, and how companies have been keeping up with it. I'll give you one example.
Sure.
Initially, those emails used to come 2017 onwards or 16 onwards.
Yeah.
We used to get those emails, or the first initial stages used to be that, your client must have shared an email that our bank account is changed, transfer the money in this account.
Right.
And it comes from their account only.
Correct.
And because you have to pay, you end up paying it.
Correct.
And you share it with your accounts department, and it says, okay, updated, and they share the money. Now it is shared to some random person. Your client hasn't received the money, but you have transferred the money. But for him, you have not received it. And it used to come to the court to us that I have done this much work and this much money is pending, and he has not paid me. I have not received. Now he's saying he has paid it to somebody on my behalf. I have not received it.
Right.
I am still open. He can have his fight with the person he has paid the money.
Correct.
So this used to be the number of cases that used to come to us in the courts, and good volume of cases where you're stuck. And the person is like, I have paid, but the other person is like, I am not involved.
Absolutely.
It's your company,
Yeah.
it's your job. I need to get paid because I have either provided you goods or I've given you services.
True.
So fulfill your contractual obligations. So we started having those, those transformation in the internal organizations. Now companies also started working towards it, and they said, no, it has to be done in a proper manner. The bank accounts cannot be changed, and it has to have those sanitizations in place, and you cannot just abruptly do all these things.
Right.
Then criminals became smart. Now what do we do? So now they came up that let's start working towards that. A person, you started working that a person X has to have a verification, and accounts cannot do it on its own.
Right.
Then criminals became smart. I'm skipping the in-between part and I'm coming to the AI. With AI, they started coming up. We started speaking that email cannot be the foolproof verification because email can be spoofed, it can be compromised, it can be hacked, or person can can create a hubahu email, look alike.
Right.
And you don't understand that whether it is a 0 or it's a O.
Right.
And they create that for you, or they create something and then last mein IN extra is added, and usually we don't have a habit of checking.
Correct.
If email has a whole body and the sign and the logo, you don't go on checking
Absolutely.
that, what exactly. You and me also don't do
Right.
that. So they understood doing that. So then, they were falling prey to this also. Then they changed that, okay, no emails can be done for any kind of crucial steps of transferring or changing the money or transferring the money. So certain amount ke baad ka money cannot be transferred. Then they said, okay, then what it has to be. So then these criminals became very smart. They said, okay, let's use AI. They listened to their CEO. Let's create so now the latest example is where a person gets a video call from his boss. Now the boss is in Dubai, in UAE.
Right.
And he's walking in those corridors which look like that, and he went for a huge conference over there. And then the person says that I have done this deal and we have taken this contract and we have to transfer this much of money ASAP. I'm sending you the details and do it. Now let's say a person who's there, he sees his boss. He sees him running towards it. I'm entering into the thing and we have done it, and do that ASAP. If I don't do it, I'll lose my job.
Correct.
Right? I did it because why? Emails can be compromised. A person I'm seeing is my boss.
Yes.
The person transferred the money. And the number which call came also was from UAE.
Correct.
And it was a proper, video call. He transferred the money. And it was not a small money. It was a huge money that he transferred. He sent the contract. He said the things. He said, okay, fine, I'm adding it. He added and he transferred. Now the person says, how dare you transfer the money? I never asked you. He says, I got your call. He says, where? Now the problem that came to us was the person says, I don't have any proof.
Correct.
Because the video call that came to me.
Correct.
And after those 2 days, the call list also goes off.
Absolutely.
So you don't have any recordings. I don't have any email can be a way of showing it as an evidence that I got this email, hence I did it.
Correct.
So at least the employee who's acting on that behalf is something that he has a little leeway to save himself.
Yes.
With that video call, the guy did not had any evidence to put across. He had zero evidence. Now we were at the situation that did he take away the money?
Correct.
Or did he genuinely acted upon it? But in all the scenarios, what evidence do we have? None evidence. Yeah. So that became a problem that now what do you mean by verification? What is the epitome level of verification? Because we used to say voice and video. Somebody's picture, like a video call, and a voice is something which is very, very specific to that person. If I give you a call, it's very specific, my voice, right?
Right.
Like the way now people are getting calls where their children call up or their parents called up, I'm in a need of money, and you think of, okay, fine. All it takes is 7 seconds of my voice to create a 80% precision of a voice of mine.
Right.
It's just 7 seconds of my voice.
Absolutely.
And one can create that. So this created like another problem now, not just in India, but the whole world where, you start having those Zoom meetings.
Yeah.
In Zoom meetings, there are 3 people sitting. And all 3 are not the person. And the 4th guy has to believe that this is my office meeting happening.
Exactly.
So you got that, work from home or work from hybrid mode of working. But with that hybrid became a problem that, the criminals are like, best for us. This is like a field, the open field for us. Let's start mining it. So with that, I think now the world is grasping towards it. The government are also looking into it, and the companies are also understanding how to now fight towards this aspect that we cannot have this. But, see, the organizations, very big one, can have protocols in place.
Absolutely.
MSME or small sector or small organizations or an organization like yours and mine, we still don't have it that, the authority becomes the person who's taking care, because time is an essence in taking decisions.
Correct.
And if these kind of call comes or those things come, that's where I'm saying, again, going back.
Exactly.
One is awareness
Yes.
and training to your entire employees to make them aware about new age crimes happening.
Right.
And having a way to fight towards it, or to have systems in place or upgrade yourself before you yourself
Correct.
you're victimized towards it. Don't wait for that situation.
Right.
Learn from others that, oh, something like that has happened with that organization. What can be a technological or a other solution in my organization which I can implement it to get rid of this, or to to have
Correct.
circumvent this kind of a situation. That's number one. The number two you can have it is what MeetY is trying to do.
Right.
It has come up with a draft rules. It's saying that each and every audio or a video or a picture which is created synthetically, that means utilizing AI,
Right.
has a 10% of a visibility that it is created by AI.
Okay. This would actually help. Yeah.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Like, for example, social media has become the place where we navigate and talk to people,
Correct.
read news, put our opinions, from Twitter to X to Facebook to
Right.
Instagram to TikTok. Do you think of it in all these places?
Correct.
So all these significant social media platforms are now duty bound under the draft rules. It are still at the draft stage. They are saying that you have to have technology in place where first you tell all the users, like you and me are on, let's say, Facebook. In the rules and regulations of Facebook, it would come up, the way it was there that you can't have copyright material.
Right.
The same way it will have that we cannot upload anything which is AI created content without putting it that this is AI generated.
Right. Right.
If they do it, then they will maybe take away our license, our account, or suspend it or block it or whatever they can have a right. But apart from that, what they're saying is, we don't care. Then you will shift the liability that I told my users. Now
Correct.
users did not do it. What do I do? The government is saying you need to have technological measures in place which can identify that this is AI created or not. So let's say tomorrow I upload and I say, no, this is not AI generated. This is mine.
Right.
It should be able to check the way it checks on the aspect of a lot of copyright material,
Right.
or on the aspect of child, that
Correct.
this is a child content created by a child and they try to close those accounts.
Correct.
They have been doing that from very long. So same way they're saying that have that technology in place which in a real time understands and blocks it, or you take action or whatever. If not, you are the one who will be held responsible by the government. So India has come up with that as a draft rule. It is as good as, I think, a week back. And I think that's another good step as one of the top few countries in the world who's thinking about how to fight towards the deepfake and AI generated content. It will not take away your and my right that, we are using AI for the good way. Let's say I want to create a video to impart somebody a podcast only if I'm
Right.
creating, or something else I'm creating it. You can, or maybe I'm creating an advertisement
Right.
or a poster for my company.
Correct.
It's absolutely fine to have that AI generated because that doesn't have any input whether it is created by a real person or an AI.
Correct.
But it is by me,
Right.
by the company or by the person. But let's say I'm creating your video and posting it.
Exactly.
And person will be deceived that this is by Archie.
Absolutely.
That's where it will bring in clarity that fight with deepfake and AI generated content when it comes to audio, video, or a picture can be deciphered by that 10% of the visibility in an
Right.
audio, video, or a picture.
This reminds me, there are those apps nowadays which are, you have celebrities wishing you on your birthday, all AI generated.
Which has made these celebrities go to court and seek that we have a personality rights
Correct.
under the Copyright Act, and
Yes.
nobody can utilize it for AI without our permission.
Correct.
But by birth, you and me have personality rights. You know that,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I have a copyright on myself.
Right.
I need not seek from the court that I need copyright to my voice, I need
Correct.
copyright to my face, I need
Right.
copyright to my body.
Right.
That's a
Absolutely.
inbuilt copyright when you're born.
Right.
You don't seek that right from anybody else,
True,
from the courts
true.
or from any place for that matter.
Absolutely.
But because of this AI, the celebrities are at the very difficult situation where every company is now creating those kind of videos and making money out of it, where they have gone up and asking that protect our celebrity rights from creating any of the AI
Correct.
situations. But in reality, you and me don't have to go for it. We practically have that right. Tomorrow, I cannot just create your video and post across.
Right.
without your permission in place.
Absolutely.
I absolutely cannot do that. I can do it if you're in a public place, I can click your picture and it is posted absolutely fine. But I practically cannot come in your private space and click your picture.
Absolutely.
If I don't have your permission, I cannot create a video using AI and post it. Again, it would be a impersonation, or it would be taking your picture without your right, or making your pictures without your right. I cannot have your voice,
Correct.
create that synthetic voice and create a whole audiobook out of it.
Right.
I need to have your permission because you, by birth, have copyright on yourself,
Right.
including how your face,
True.
to your voice, to your personality. So that is there with you and me and everybody. But I think with stricter norms, with stricter punishment, and with stricter implementation of these norms is where people will understand not to do it. And even
Absolutely.
and you can't say that it will not happen. People are saying that these laws will not be the solution. Yes, it will not be a foolproof 100% solution. But at least you'll have something to fight.
Absolutely.
And people will understand. There are so many naive people, naive as in you and me as well, who will believe that this is true. So at least with that 10% of
Exactly.
visibility,
Right.
you and me will not believe into something we should not believe.
Absolutely.
Number one, it can be trading scam. There are so many, those
Yeah.
gambling industry trying to be so-called gaming, and those celebrities are being putting across, and they're not
Correct.
doing it actually.
Exactly.
So we will not fall prey to all those advertisements, on all those
Correct.
posters, or all those, those audios that come across. We will think that, oh, this is not Amitabh Bachchan himself.
Right.
This is some AI created
Correct.
Amitabh Bachchan. And we
Correct.
will think of, okay, oh, let's not believe into this completely. That's where I think a lot of, at least 60 to 70% people will think before, or they will have an understanding that this is not we should think of.
Absolutely.
Because by law, now we understand by now that if we see somebody, we think it is true.
Correct.
Pehle we used to see posters and we used to say this is the truth because this is in poster form.
Exactly.
When you used to have WhatsApp messages,
Right.
somebody writing something, we never used to believe. But it used to come in at that, picture form, we
yeah.
used to believe. Then that also changed, that it's very easy to make that. Then came the aspect that now if somebody's, their own video is coming up, you will believe. Your politician doing something, you will believe.
Yes.
Let's say a politician say something about some religious people. You will be
Absolutely.
like, this politician is against my religion, I will not vote. The
Absolutely.
guy has never said anything about
Correct.
anybody. I'm to going on the religion, the
Exactly.
election aspect or the politician's aspect. Let's say any celebrity saying something, and tomorrow if the celebrity says something about something and it just creates, the ideology doesn't match, and then there would be a whole section of people putting on a hate speech and against
Correct.
unnecessary hate towards that person. So practically, so much effort you make in making your image, it just maligns in 1 minute by
Yes.
just somebody creating that video by the click.
Correct.
With so much of precision that it's impossible, Archie, today for you and me to understand with our naked eye that this is a real picture or this is a synthetic picture.
Very true.
And that's where the government is saying that this is not job of people. This is job of the platform who are earning out of this.
Right.
Have
Right.
that technology in place because you have that technology. Now, utilize that technology and make sure that people are not duped by utilizing your platform for any kind of cybercrime. They are not in a situation where they are defamed. They are not in a situation where some misinformation campaign is run in our country, or there is no such explicit content of people who, it is not their own.
Correct.
So all those scenarios do not come in place because we have laws in place, but we can't implement it because you don't want to utilize your technology.
Very true.
And I think that's why we are sitting today for that rules. And I'm very happy with that rules coming out by the meaty. Let's see how it turns out to be. This draft rule turns out to be the actual rule and how it is implemented in the future.
Absolutely, Khushbu. In fact, I think I see children being prey to such scams as well. And by the time they are able to recover their reputation, anybody, they are trying to recover their reputation, the damage is already done. And that's how I think these would help to some extent, to very good extent, I would say, as long as we have a tool set or technology that would be able to distinguish between what's real and unreal.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, and even society will have to understand that do not believe in anything you say and stop crucifying those people on just seeing some picture or a video or some, audio file. Take a step back. Today, we are not in that age where we just believe into what we see on internet, on our phones, or, anywhere around. We need to take a step back, take a pause, before thinking or thinking good or bad about anybody for that matter.
Correct.
I know it's a difficult situation that we have arrived into, that we can't trust in anything we see around, but at least when you're trying something which is too good to be true, or something which is creating that terror or a fear, or
Correct.
something that is absolutely maligning somebody, in these scenarios at least take a step back, pause, think, and then maybe start looking into it.
Right.
And I would say with children, yes, you have absolutely right that once it hits him, it's very difficult. The
Correct.
entire upbringing is scarred by it.
Exactly.
And it's not just children. At least children case mein to, you with children, a lot of times they don't say, and they are scarred with it forever.
Right.
But it is happening not just with children, it is with everybody at every age group, and they don't want to share.
True.
Anything that goes wrong with me on internet, by default, I would want to hide.
Correct.
I don't want to share that something went wrong with me. 90% of the digital arrests are being happening because of this, that you don't want to share.
Right.
Despite you have not done anything wrong, you don't want to share because
Correct.
there can be an element, there can be something wrong.
Right.
Or I'm stuck in something wrong.
Exactly.
Or I am stuck in something wrong which is done by somebody else. You're still ready to be
Correct.
in front of your screen
Correct.
for 12 hours to 12 days to 25 days to 40 days. You're ready to transfer your hard-earned money. Gone are those days where
Right.
we need to have that jail. We need to
Exactly.
have a constable outside. And those big locks ki koi bhag na jaye, or those Andaman ka kala pani. The criminals have become so smart.
Right.
You sit in a hotel room, your own house, and they are arresting you there. So that's all because of the part that
Right.
we in a society do not want to wash our dirty linen in
Right.
public.
Right.
And that's what it's been utilized. That's what I'm saying. As a society, we need to take one step back. Do not have judgments and crucify people just because somebody's explicit image has come out, or somebody's compromising video or a picture has come out,
Right.
or some child ka some messages or something has come out, or compromising situation. All these scenarios must stop victimizing the victim.
Right.
Take a
Right.
step back. We are in the age of AI where deepfakes and audios are very easily done.
Correct.
And as it is, even if those are not done, if those are real as well, take a step back. Don't victimize the victim.
Right.
It is the culprit who should be victimized.
Correct. Correct.
He's the victim already. He's going through that. You don't have to shame him. You don't have to even pity him.
True.
Let it be, and let's start together fight against those criminals.
Exactly.
Because these criminals are practically taking benefit of either the victimization of victim or either the pittiness of the victim. In both the scenarios,
Right.
the victim is in a very bad situation.
Right.
And it becomes very difficult for them to come out. And that's why they don't even complain. The
Correct.
number of complaints that we see today is hardly some percentage of actual number of complaints or actual number of scenarios that are happening in the country. Think of a crime, and all of them, I'm saying, it's just a minuscule number that we are seeing that this is
Right.
the number. In reality, it's something very big and very different.
True.
And that's not coming out. And this criminals are increasing, or the number of crimes are increasing because they are scot-free. They are not reported, or they are,
Exactly.
nothing is done to them, and they think, okay, I've done first one. Maybe that was, the criminal would have done it darkar. Second one, third one.
Right.
Fourth mein he becomes the Raja,
Confident,
that I can do
yeah.
as number of crimes. And then he increases the quantum, he increases the kind of thing he can do it.
Right.
And that's where I think we are going little short on. That let's start complaining.
Correct.
Let's start fighting against them. Let's, as a house, first, if something has gone wrong with anybody in the family, stand together
Exactly.
and fight against. Then as a society, fight against. Then as a state and a country, fight against it. Let's absolutely, I'm repeating again, Archie, but we need to stop victimizing the victim.
This is a very, very important point, I would say. In fact, the biggest takeaway, I would say, there are multiple takeaways, but this is the most impactful takeaway. Stop victimizing the victim. And because that's where we hesitate. There is hesitation. There is, again, coming back, starting to the very starting point where we talked about the culture, where again, we are in such a culture where we are the, openness as well as being, confidence is there. But in terms of sharing your pain, sharing your thoughts, sharing your feeling with people, with public, there has always been some hesitation, which evolves from criminal law into all this cyber and privacy I mean, very, very spot on. Really enjoyed speaking with you, Khushbu. And but one final message which we would like to share with our viewers, what would that be?
With the viewers, I think I can have two sets of final words. One for the companies, uh, earn from the data, grow your business,
Right.
but have that systems in place where the data of people which you're taking, at least give them that much back, that you keep that data secure, and also you let them know what data and whether what are their rights. This is basic. Ideally, as a company, you should have been doing it since the start,
Correct.
but now do it because you have got penalties coming in the future.
Correct.
And for people, I think I would say the way you learn driving, you understand that these are the norms, whether driving right side, left
Right.
side, what do you mean by roundabouts, which signal to stop and which signal to drive. You need to learn all those things,
Absolutely.
right? Using the world of internet, the technology, you need to learn how to navigate in that space.
Correct.
And what do you mean by learning? What you can do and what you cannot do. Cannot do, you need to learn it before you understand what you can do. Very important for all of us, since you starting the using the internet. If your child is utilizing it for using YouTube or watching reels on YouTube while he's eating,
Right.
while you want him to eat, make him understand what he cannot do
Correct.
at his understanding at his age. And you need to understand what you cannot do on internet. Once each one of us learn what we cannot do on internet, it would be much better space. But then at the same time, you need to understand what can be done on internet, and if something goes wrong, keep things handy. Like if you're using mobile banking, you need to understand which bank you're dealing with and which are the numbers which you have to utilize it for blocking it. Don't
Right.
search on internet then and there.
Correct.
If you're using some other 1930 is another number which you can keep in mind. If you're using, let's say, Facebook or Instagram, if something goes wrong, how do you utilize it where, take 2 minutes, understand how do you complain, what are the scenarios where you can complain. This is a basic learning.
Right.
It won't take, in those 20 minutes of scrolling, you can have 2 minutes spent on whatever you are working on to learn that how it works, what it works, and what are the do's and don'ts of that specific platform or a technology. And be very happy on the world of internet. Be secure. Share less. Don't be in the age of FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Right.
Share appropriate information. No harm in sharing, no harm in learning, but be very wary and be very smart in the world of internet. I would just say that part.
Sure. Thank you, Khushbu. Really, I'm very sure the viewers must have enjoyed it completely throughout. And thank you once again for coming out and spending time with our audience.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you.
Thank you, Khushbu. I hope you liked today's podcast. Please subscribe to the channel and also share your comments and suggest in case if you want to get specific insights around cybersecurity or any specific conversation. Thank you.